Hi YouTube, we're back with the ASH26, and where we left off we were just smoothing the end of the rod, and we ran out of memory, so we're gonna pick up where we left off and try to get both ends so that they're easy to insert to the wings. So we'll just keep going here for a second. Okay, so now that we have that taken care of, just grab our sanding block, just kind of squish it down and give it a couple of quick spins. Of course, if you really want to get this super smooth, then you can take and use the drill, chuck it into the drill. This side's got a little nasty edge on it, so why don't we just show you how to do that, if you don't already know how to do that. Just like you're putting it in like a drill bit. Good Lord. Is that thing really bent that much? Or did I just get it chucked in there weird? No, it's totally bent. What the heck? I'm glad I noticed. See it, guys? That's crazy. I just assumed it was straight. I don't know why I assumed that. That was sort of stupid. So I'm just putting pressure forward, pulling the trigger, and then applying downward pressure. Doesn't seem like it's going to get it though. I did make a nice little retainer for it, so I can hold it in there. I'm actually going to try it the other way now. That's toasty! I guess I didn't really think about the bow drill I was making. Yeah, it's a little toasty. Here, while it's super toasty, do a little more sanding on it. That really is just weird to me that it would be that out of true. Looks like it's bent somewhere down there. It's pretty straight. I'm just sighting it along a straight edge. The edge in that plastic there. Now I'm just spinning it, and I'm going to let it hit the low point. Okay, so that's the low point. So then I can take, because it's not wanting to bend the way I'd like it to bend. So I'm just going to brace it here. And I'll just use a bigger. Put it right on the end. Brace it. Of course you could put this into a vise too if you're really smart. I have a vise right there, but it's a lot of work to get the vise out because I got crap all around it. Okay, so just give it a little bend. Okay, so I need to bend that up some more. Okay, see if we got any out there. That thing is still pretty warm down there. Okay, so if that's... Now there's nobody saying this has to be absolutely 100% perfect, but... Maybe I was getting more done doing this than I thought. That's pretty good. Okay, so now we'll take the drill and put it away for now. So pretty much straightening that rod wasn't very hard, but I kind of did it a couple of different ways there. There's a million ways to skin that cat. Just pick what makes best sense, and then you can see when it rolls on the table it's fairly square because it rolls and it doesn't like immediately bind up. Alright, cool. So now I'm also just taking note if there's any big like sticky spots that would resist penetration into the wing cavity, which I don't feel anything. The other thing is now those marks should be irrelevant, and so I am going to take the time to wipe those off because I don't want to have the confusion later. Okay, so let's wipe that off. Now obviously my goal is to use the carbon fiber because this is so much heavier, but this will at least, you know, guarantee me that I'll get a fit. Okay, so that should be clean. Now seeing how wiggly that was makes me nervous about the other one being wiggly. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Okay, first things first, let's put it through the fuse. Cool, so we got a very good fit now. So now I think the best thing I could do is probably measure for center on this. There's not a lot of play. A little bit. So now this little thing, let's check that also for issues. And remember how we were having trouble getting it to slide in? I think we're going to rectify that situation right this second. That one's not too bad. It's pretty square. But I'm still going to take and smooth it out. Okay, as you can see, I've taken the finish off, whatever finish that was. Not really what I was going for, but just trying to smooth it up, thin it out a little bit. Now I'm just pushing up against the wood so I can get a little bit more pressure on there. Okay, looks good. That should help a lot with feeding that into the wings. Okay, so we'll do the same thing. I'm going to wash my hands. I don't want to get this black stuff all over the white wings. Okay, squeaky clean. Alright, so now we need to measure for penetration into the body of the fuselage. Put that away quick. Just go for a tape measure on this. Okay. So right now we're at almost exactly 8 inches. That's convenient. Just shy. And 7 1/8. So we'll go to just shy of 7 1/2. And we'll go just a little bit more. So we'll go, what's that, 5/8? Between 1/2 and 5/8. Okay. Yep, okay, so that's the center on the main one, so I'm going to mark it now. Well, that worked really crappy. That was a super horrible marking. At least I know what the center mark is now. It's supposed to be there. Alright. Let's just be real. That mark is probably good enough to get us by. Oops. If one was motivated, they could put some clear tape or something that would just stop it from going through. But then that's certainly going to happen. That's going to have the same effect on the wing too. So all I'm doing here is I'm just transferring the mark better so it's darker. Nothing magical about it. It should be pretty well ambidextrous. Okay, so we've got a nice quick reference mark. Again, we're not looking for perfection, we're just looking for something quick to get us in the ballpark. Because believe me, when you start sliding the wings in, they're not going to really care about our marks anyway. Okay, so you can see the mark protruding on both sides. Now let's validate that we have it centered still. Yep, right where we need to be. And just a little bit further. So on this side, we need to thicken up the mark just a hair on the outside portion. And then we just have this visual gauge, and we try to make the marks about the same thickness of exposure. And that should be dead center. Between 1/2 and 5/8. And that's between 1/2 and 5/8. So there's almost identical length. Alright, cool. So then this one here, let's see where we are. So if we were at 2 1/2, we would also be at 2 1/4. Wow. Okay. So go 2 3/8 compared to 2 3/8. Okay, so 2 3/8 will be our mark. 2 3/8. Just a little bit more. Okay, so that should be pretty close. So we'll go ahead and do the same exact thing here. We'll just put a little downward pressure on it. Make a mark on both sides without spinning it this time. So we got our mark. And our mark actually needs to go inside of that. Okay, so then we'll flip it over and do the same thing. Because the wing is so thin here, I chose to pull this one out of the fuselage before I marked it, just to try to help kind of keep things from getting marked on the side of the plane. I mean, we should be able to wipe it off with something anyway if we had to. Okay, so we'll make our mark fairly even, because let's just be practical, guys. It's not going to matter that much. Okay, so we're just past 3/8, just past 3/8. Cool. So that's pretty centered on both of those. Alright, so now that we have that centered, and we're confident with our marks, we should be able to go ahead and double check one other thing before we slide these on. We need to be able to receive one of these doohickeys. See? And that's got a nut zert that's mounted inside of there. And the interesting thing is I'm pretty sure all that stuff is already glued in there. So I don't know if Ian already did that or if it just came from the factory with that installed. Sometimes the factory will show a step and then you actually don't have to do it, which is a little weird on this model. It's kind of the opposite. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can find O-rings that'll fit that real quick. Okay, so I found O-rings that'll fit on there. And I slip those onto the tips there. And I'm going to actually roll those down to the base. Just like that. And then I'm going to spin it to get them seated. I don't want those to get caught in the threads while we're tightening them in. I don't know how hard it's going to be to get those things in. I suspect it's going to be a real pain in the butt, because look where that is and look how big my hand is. So we'll see what we can do about that. Alright, so two things have to happen. One, just noticing that monocoat's a little loose. I think what I might do is go ahead and heat up the iron real quick. While we're kind of working on this, we can get the other wing maybe put on first. Of course, it's probably got the same issue. Why would it not? It's definitely more minimal. Well, let's double check before we get this thing into a tough spot. Let's just double check that this is going to insert properly. Which it certainly is. Okay. Let's try both screws. And that's just called Murphy's Law insurance. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to slide this on first before I even try to put I'm going to hold those tight. Slip this on. If it'll go. Okay, it's going. That's always cool. This is the culmination of a lot of effort, people. Probably doesn't seem like that big of a deal sitting in your living room or computer room just watching it happen, but it's pretty cool to be experiencing this finally. Now obviously these wires, there's more than one way to skin a cat on how to handle and manipulate these wires in down to the receiver. But for now, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do it the easy way, which is to pull them through. Just like so. Some point we might decide to do a quick disconnect that's going to be integrated to that action. But I don't know if we're going to do that or not. Okay, now you can see why I really liked having those marks. Guys, because look. Now I can just slide that all the way in. And then I can just work this pin right to the edge. See? That works pretty good. And I need to put something under this. It's driving me nuts that it wants to tip down like that. But then the whole plane's going to want to fall off the table. Oh, it's so gorgeous, guys. I can't resist. Oh, yes. It's going to be good. And I can't wait to fly it. It's going to be beautiful. I'm going to have to figure out, boy, that's a good fit too. Just wait till it's tight. Tight like a tiger. That's so gorgeous. So gorgeous! Alright, so the monocoat iron is... That smells hot. So here we go. Oh yes, perfect. Now the reason that I decided reluctantly to spend an extra 30 seconds to do this is because this is a very vulnerable spot for the monocoat. In that if we tape over the edges, like many people do, between the wing roots and then the fuselage, then you're going to have a vulnerable spot for having tape come off. So what I'll probably do is I'll probably put a little packing tape here just to protect that from coming off. That was an idea I got from Ian. And so we're going to try that. But first we're going to get this thing together because I can't resist. The other thing I was thinking is, you see how long these cables are, guys? I don't know if that's necessary to have them that long, but they're going to be that long unless I cut them, which is not, you know, an impossibility at this point. The reason I say that is because I don't know if you recall or if you watched the videos from back then. I gotta get this on a little bit more. Thank you for following. I'm gonna grab these forceps here. But my video series shows where the servo wire came out and then where I installed my extension cords. Now I'm gonna have to make some sort of a mechanism to protect these wires from getting into the landing gear assembly, which might consist of making a gear cover that would actually go over the landing gear, which might not be a bad idea, just to try to keep the crap out of the inside of the fuse. Because if I'm doing grass landings, which I probably will, there's going to be crap that wants to get in. But really, like, so far, I think the easiest way would be to just make like a hook or something that I can slip those through. See what's going on, guys? Oh, it's so gorgeous. For whatever reason, this side is a little bit tighter. Yes. My horizontal stabilizer is not square with the wings. I'll have to adjust that a little bit. It's close, but it's not there. You want this and this equidistant, and right now this is smaller than this. So I gotta go whoop. And that was not shown to scale, it was just simply for clarity. So that is so cool. I'm so excited to see it run, and we're going to be doing that in about 2 minutes here. Let's see if we can get these grub screws in. So far, I can actually reach, which is a really good sign. I can only get my pointer finger and thumb in there. Guys, we're talking about an airplane here, just to be 100% clear. A sailplane. Okay, so we've got that first one started. They need some texture on these things. You can't get any texture to spin the freaking things. Why would they make them smooth like this? We're going to do this the easy way. First of all, we're going to unplug the iron, because we don't need that on. Then I'm going to take this thing, a little bit of CA. Now watch how this works, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just literally going to go around it like this. It's going to be the easiest thing ever. And then I'm going to take a little bit of cotton, just like this, and I'm just going to go, just stick in there, just a little bit. Come on now, come on now. You would, cotton. And see, all I'm doing is I'm just sticking it to the surface. I'm trying to hold down. I don't want this thing, this little modification, to weigh anything, okay? Right there. Just like that. Then kick her twice. Wipe that off. Oh yeah, there's some texture now. Then peel out all the excess. You don't want any more than you need on there. Oh yeah, that's gorgeous. I got tons of traction now. I was thinking about scoring it, but then I was like, nah, that's gonna look ugly. Sorry, this looks pretty ugly too. Okay, I need to move this rubber back. Rubber. Come on. Get off of there. Now watch this. I'm just going to torch it. That's going to take care of the little stringies. So far, so good. I think it's good. Now we're going to try again before we duplicate that again. Okay, so we'll just undo this one. It is phenomenally difficult to get access in there. And then once you're about done, it wants to fall out from in there. I could just imagine chasing that thing out in the field. Oh yeah, tons more traction. I'm not going to sit here and say it's easy to do still, or it's going to be easy at all. But having that traction makes a big difference. Wish I could get a shot where you could see, but I can't see either, if it makes you feel any better. Okay, so now, as I tighten it, I'm kind of watching the gap in the wing, just to see if it's changing at all. And so far it's not at all. But it's kind of weird because, what the frick? Okay. So I could have sworn that these things threaded in already. Maybe they just went in the hole. Maybe there's not a nutsert in there yet. Okay, so I pulled this thing out. This is the other wing. And you know, the funny thing is, there is a nutsert in there, but you know what the problem is? We're not actually hitting the nutsert because we're not making it close enough to the edge of the contact point here. So let's show you what I'm talking about here. See, when I go in here with this thing, of course I got the wrong hand to do this, so I got to lay this down for a second. Okay, so watch, I'll show you from the outside. Okay, you see how much penetration we're getting? We're only getting, let's call it maybe 2/5. So I don't know if we're gonna hit unless we're just perfectly flush. Or maybe this side's just not actually got the nutsert. See how close we have to be before we start hitting threads? I don't think we can do it with an O-ring. I don't think there's going to be allowed. We're not going to have enough thickness there. So let's see what we can do here. Let's try. Of course, this is always a lot easier to do in the shop, and this is really not super duper easy anyway. Okay, so now we'll just bring that in tight. Pull the slack, make sure we're not pinching it. Okay, so now that's definitely tight. But as I turn this, I don't feel any penetration into threads, which tells me that this isn't long enough. Son of a gun. What a bummer. Let's see if these nylon ones are. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, baby. The nylon ones are going to be enough. Which explains why he gave me those. Thank you, Ian, for thinking of that. I'm sure you already knew that from past experience. Okay, so now my trick of the day is going to be to get this tight. I'm going to pause it so the video doesn't end. Okay, I'm going to try to be a smart feller, not a fart smeller here. And I'm going to try to screw this in from the other side. At least one of them will be easy, right? Oh yeah, that worked really nice. Except that, as you can see, we have either bottomed out or just run out of enough torque from this little teeny screwdriver. Okay, so we switch to a flat blade. Guys, if we run out of memory, I might extend this video just a little bit. Okay, so it looks like we're still making penetration, but we're not going to be able to reach all the way down to the head of this. Okay, so what we're going to have to do is we'll have to shorten this screw to allow it to not bottom out, okay? Or we'll have to put a nut or some sort of material to space it out so that as we finally do bottom out, we're making contact and pulling the wing surface in. I'll show you what I mean here in a minute. Okay, so we've got that unscrewed. And it sure is a lot easier when you got something from the other side to be able to do that with. It's going to be tricky in the field, I can tell you that. So, real quick while I've got this wing, fell down, of course. Oh, thank goodness. I saw this blob and I got all nervous that I damaged it. It was actually my CG point. Okay, so let's try on this one. Yep, it goes. So now what we have to do is we just have to make a determination of some sort of a material that we can put either around this or shorten it. I'm sort of reluctant to shorten it at this point because, oh buddy, I just had a brilliant plan. What if I put a spring in there so that I could add unnecessary dead weight? Sorry, Ian, I knew that's what you would think of my spring idea. So if I cut this in half, what I could do is I could put that in there and it would act as a lock washer, for one thing. And for two things, if the wing got dinged at the end, despite having this probably want to bend, this probably want to bend, I don't know if, because I'd be acting way out here, the lever point would be. I think that might be the way to do it. If I had a shorter one of these, that would be handy, because cutting springs is harder than it looks. But if I cut that in half, that'd be about perfect. Alright, I don't know if I want to sacrifice my tool, so I might do this the right way. When I say sacrifice my tool, this is hardened steel, and so if you try to cut it like with those, you cut it, but you'll ruin it. You'll put a big divot in your pliers right at the base of the cutting area. Okay, so we're going to try this with the okay. So now I'm going to smooth this off. Okay. Now I need to get the one that fell on the ground, of course. Why would it just have fallen on the table, right? We'll just set that one down. Okay, so the one that we've smoothed, actually, I'll set down. You can see one's a little bit longer than the other. So we got a couple of different lengths to play with. Okay, so the rationale behind taking that edge off is just it's pretty sharp. But that might actually work to our advantage as it bites into the composite material inside. Okay, so we'll just look and see if we have... See, the thing is, I think this one's probably too long. So let's test. It's going to give us the same problem we had before. No, it's going to... I think it'll work. So we'll put those away. And we're going to give it a shot. We're going to see how that fits. Okay, so we'll just bring the wing over. Feed this in. You know what, it's easier to feed in once you have it started onto the shaft. I'm tempted to take the drill and just run that in there at like full speed and see if I can ream the hole out a little bit. But then I'm thinking, no, the tightness is good. I'm probably going to want it to be tighter after I figure out how to assemble this. Oops. Oh, look at that. There is another rib up there. I could go over the top of that rib maybe. Nah, but then the canopy, I got to clear the canopy. I don't know, guys. I have to figure out how I'm going to do this. I may end up just bringing my extension cords back there so that I can access them, plug them in, and then tuck them back there instead of bringing them up to the front. I mean, for now, it's going to be up to the front. But for now, I don't think for now means by Saturday. I think for now, like right now, that's what it's going to be. But by Saturday, I'll have that worked out. Just so you know, today is Thursday. I know you're watching this video. You're probably not necessarily watching it the day I make it. So it's going to be in infamy. The day the amazing plane got built. Okay, there we go. Oh yeah. I think we'll get enough penetration to bite. See, I'm kind of compressing the spring here, guys. You see what I'm talking about there? See the spring? I just wish I could get in there with a screwdriver and torsion it in there. Oh, stop doing that. Plane. Because I could also put texture on this like I was trying to do to the other thing. It's definitely going in with a flat screwdriver. But then once I hit any resistance, it's just going to want to stop. Okay. So now, see? It's got a somewhat of a spring load on it. Just not enough. Not enough, guys. What shall I do? Alright, so backup plan time. So if I pull this out, you see what I'm talking about, guys? That would be potentially a plane saver. You can see how much I would need to remove to make this tight. Basically pull it until it's tight, and then I would need to remove that much. It's going to make it a lot harder to put it in, though. Alright, let's take it out. Take it out and adjust it. I'll spare you guys the boredom of taking this screw out. Alright, so we got the screw out. Let's take a close look at this real quick. As with most screws, it's tapered a little bit at the bottom, but we're going to need to take off probably a good 1/4 inch of this. Now, the thing is, since this is made of nylon, I can't really use my grinder without compromising the threads. So I'll have to do that. Well, I probably could if I was careful, but I don't think I'm going to be careful. I just want to make it easy to start. Okay, we're going to use a grinder. I just won't be able to put much pressure on it, because if I heat it up too much, it'll ruin the threads. Good enough. Alright, so we call that a 1/4 inch, right? And that's pretty darn close to a 1/4 inch. Let's just double check, because if I have to cut it, I don't want to take the wing off. Oops. Yep, that's a 1/4 inch, guys. Alright, here goes nothing. The other thing is I gotta put texture on this stupid thing. That's right. Let's just do that real quick too, while we're at it. Not enough. Not enough texture to be effective. Okay. Gotta love it. Definitely got texture now. Alright, so we got the 2 different lengths of springs too to work with. I'm going to try my best to give you guys a view of this as I'm doing it, but I can't really give you any guarantees on this one, because I got to get my body in just a certain angle to be able to even reach. I could use forceps, but if I use forceps, then I'm going to have to get a forcep to bring to the field all the time, which is fine. I probably should have one at the field all the time anyway. Come on, get in there. Well, I can see the screw coming through. I think I'm going to have a heck of a time starting it with the spring in there. See what I'm talking about? Now, if I could get a screwdriver in there, then that would be fine. I'm going to try it now. This is a flat-bladed screwdriver here, guys. Okay, I feel like I've got enough penetration that I'm biting the threads, but then it's wanting to pop back out. Okay, too much with the spring. Jeez, did that seriously just break that thing? That really ticks me off. Okay, so we're going to try this without the spring. Or, well, I want to keep the hope alive. We'll put in the shorter portion. This is going to be super easy to do in the field. Hilarious. Actually, not so much. It's going to be a huge pain in the butt. Lucky for me, I'll probably just leave the freaking thing assembled. Or at least half assembled, you know. It is pretty cool. You could put this in a backpack and bring it to the top of a hill or something like that. Okay, so that's good, and that's good. How in the heck are you supposed to get your fingers in there? Maybe if I had very small hands, I could do this. Okay, so I got the flat screwdriver in there now again. And I'm just working it in there at as steep an angle as I can, okay? I'm having to apply a pretty significant amount of forward pressure to collapse the spring. So of course the spring is fighting me every step of the way. The spring is tight now. It's compressed completely. So there's no point in having the spring at this point. It's completely compressed, meaning that it's not going to do us any good to continue in that manner. So the spring's coming out. Alright guys, my camera is gonna die here in a second, so I wanted to show you this real quick before we pause for a minute. So basically we have the transmitter on, we have the receiver on, elevator's working, rudder's working in the correct direction also. Okay, elevator, aileron, spoiler on, flapper on, and I'll have to play with the settings on that, of course. And then, of course, the landing gear, down, then up slow, down fast, up slow. Stabilizer is all the way up, off, on. So up is up is up, up is up, down is down, left and right yaw is correct. So everything on that's working. We'll release the hood real quick. Peel that out. I have to figure out how to adapt these wings with my bolts. That's one thing I still have to figure out. And then I have to figure out how these are going to be done. Obviously I'm not going to leave a big long screw, but I might do a short screw because I could do that without a tool. And then I have to figure out a way to protect these wires from the landing gear action, okay, and the rudder action. So there's more to come, guys. Stay tuned. Look at this beautiful thing. It's just gorgeous. I'm glad you're coming back to share it with me. Hopefully I'll be flying it this Saturday and you'll be watching that too. Don't forget to like and subscribe.